Oh my God. Listen, I know you know what's going on. They just transferred your boy to New York. It's been a display of complete tomfoolery to the highest degree. And you might not understand what's going on, you guys. I'm going to break it down to you, so stay focused, pay attention. I'm going to give you some clues. You're going to have to fill the rest in. I can't be too. You know how it is on here. You can't give too much, okay? I don't have time to be a target for anybody's foolishness. But let me just say this. You're about to see the clash of two egos. I'm talking the state and I'm talking the federal government. This case is about to be a clown show, okay? And it's already started. You may have missed a lot because you might not know the backstory, but you know the things that are going on in the surface. I'm going to connect the dots for you. And listen, let me just say this before we even get into all this, because I also have the complaints, the 4 charges that the feds are charging Luigi with. As you saw, he had this massive display of attention this morning as they brought him in on helicopter. Okay, he had more security detail than President Trump. President Trump detail don't even look this good. And I'm gonna tell you why that is, okay? Before we even get into all that, listen, let me give you the theme for this actual video. The theme phrase for this video, let me give you a saying that I always go by. If someone gives you a check in exchange for success, they will always have you by the neck. That is the theme of this case with Luigi. And I'm gonna make it all clear as we go through this, you guys. And this is gonna correlate to Mayor Adams. This is gonna correlate to the upper leadership within the FBI and why this is such a problem. This is, the same thing we saw the same thing with Epstein. When someone is in control and they pay you and put you in a position, they own you. And when it's time for them to collect on a favor, this is when you start seeing the system collapse upon itself. You start seeing things that you've never seen before. The rate at which this case is gonna move, someone wants him silenced, okay? Someone wants Luigi silenced. I know that for a fact based on how they move today, okay? So let's dive into this clip. We have a lot to cover. Listen, shout out to the new subscribers. Welcome to the channel. If you're new to the channel, you need to get on episode 1 and catch up, all right? You need to catch up, but here we are. Let's go ahead and dive into this. Waste any more time on this. This is a news clip from, I think this is Fox, and they're breaking down kind of what happened today, okay? I'm gonna explain to you guys the charges. And let me just say this before we can get into all that. Listen, the feds have hijacked the case. Okay, this is what's happening. You probably don't know it yet. The feds have completely hijacked New York's case, the state's case. And they did it for a couple of reasons. But before I get into that, let's play the clip and I'm explaining to you why it's game over, okay, for the state. And it's gonna be nasty. Mayor Adams is not gonna let this go. But let's see how this whole thing plays out. But anyway, let's get into it. Jeez, this is a clown show.
Well, Luigi Mangione appears in federal court on murder charges. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kira Phillips.
And I'm Terry Moran, and that is our top story at this hour. Mangione, the accused killer of 50-year-old Brian Thompson, who is a father of 2, an insurance company executive. The killer just made his first appearance in federal court. This comes after a new 4-count federal criminal complaint charging him with stalking, a firearms offense involving a silencer, and murder through the use of a firearm. That last charge under federal law now makes Mangione eligible for the federal death penalty.
The 26-year-old landed in New York earlier today and was transferred to federal custody.
Okay, let me say this. There's no reason for the FBI to get involved and take the case over. Absolutely no reason. These are regular homicide charges. This is a regular homicide case. This is business as usual in the state of New York. Okay, the feds will get involved to assist on a case, but there's no reason for them to take it over unless they were given orders from a higher position because someone higher than them wants this settled a particular way, okay? They want to make sure that things can be dealt with appropriately and under the radar, okay? And this is about to bleed and scream corruption, all right? I see it already. I see it already. They snatched this case from Mayor Adams, you know, and even Luigi's attorney did not know. So even she was blindsided. Everybody was waiting in state court today because it was under the impression that he was coming straight from Pennsylvania and he was going directly to state court to answer to the state charges. And all of a sudden, cuckoo cuckoo, out of nowhere, the feds are like, nah, you need to reroute him down to the federal court. Nobody knew. So it's about to get dicey. Now the feds charges, which we're going to go over after this, include a homicide charge, which allows them to push for the death penalty. Okay, so let's just be clear. That's what we're looking at right now.
After waiving extradition from Pennsylvania, where he was arrested after days on the lam. He also faces New York State charges of first and second degree murder related to the Midtown Manhattan shooting of Brian Thompson earlier this month. Senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky was inside court, joins us now along with our legal contributor and trial attorney Brian Buckmeyer.
So, Aaron, tell us what happened in federal court. The action continues there, and I know you're tracking it. Well, and what can you tell us about Mangione, how he behaved in court?
Just an incredible day, Terry. He began his day in an orange Pennsylvania state prison jumpsuit, waived extradition, was brought on board an NYPD plane, then a helicopter landed in lower Manhattan. The mayor was there to greet him, and then he was brought here to federal court, where he appeared briefly in civilian clothing, khaki pants, a white button-down shirt beneath a black sweater. He was shackled only at the ankles, and he didn't say much, but we did hear him answer yes to several of the judge's questions. The attorney for him, Karen Friedman-Agnifilo, though, called this a highly unusual situation. She said she had never seen anything like this, where he is charged in state court with terrorizing the public, murder in furtherance of terrorism, and charged in federal court with stalking a single individual. The defense said those theories of the cases appeared to be in conflict. They sought clarity. The judge told them to confer with prosecutors. It appears now that Mangione is going to be prosecuted first in federal court. He was taken into the custody of U.S. Marshals, and his attorney declined to comment on her way out of the courthouse just a moment ago, Terry.
For those who saw the previous video on the 11-count indictment, okay, we went over all the charges that Luigi's being accused of, allegedly committing. One of those charges is terrorism, and I talked about that in length, saying, hey, I don't see how this is gonna stick. I don't see how they're gonna make the argument, but I'm curious. Okay, we went over that charge. You guys, listen. Terrorism, which I've never heard of a state charge before, that's normally a federal charge, okay? Here's my theory now. You know I like my theories, you guys. All right, follow me. Terrorism is a charge that the feds use. The FBI use it all the time. Terrorism. The state is now using a terrorism charge. Okay, that's odd. Basically saying his actions invoked a level of terror. His intent was to terrorize the public. In my opinion, I'm like, the public's not terrorized. If anything, he's terrorizing some of these corrupt corporate entities and individuals running these companies. That's who's in fear and in terror. But the public is okay. The public is praising him as Luigi the Saint the Third. Okay? So he's not terrorizing them. He's not a threat to the public. I don't know how you're going to make that connection. But I digress. That's a charge used and suited for feds. Here's the problem. The problem is the feds now, in their count of what they are charging him with, one of them is stalking. Stalking. Why are you charging? That's the state. You can use that for the state. Again, what I'm saying is there's no reason for them to be cross-pollinating at this point, right? Normally the feds get involved. They're charging in a case, just say in a case, for example, like where the feds would get involved and they would charge a person in like for a hate crime. So the state could have a murder case and all these other charges, but then the feds step in and say, you know what, we're going to add a little sauce, an extra sauce to these charges. Okay, perfect examples like the Ahmaud Arbery case. Okay, these two guys committed murder. And then, but because there was a racial component, there was a hate component, there was a discriminatory act involved in that crime, which they would call it a hate crime. You hated this person based on race, religion, gender, or sex. So the feds come in and say, we're going to add a little extra to it. We're going to call this a hate crime. Okay, so the feds can jump in that way. And in that way, it's not double jeopardy because you have state and federal, they're separate. But in this case, you have the feds charging homicide, and then you have the state charging homicide. You have the feds charging stalking. You have the feds charging weapon possession. Okay, so they got 4 counts. Remember, I told you guys this is a simple homicide case. Why is there 11 counts by the state? Because Bragg is doing it, okay? Bragg is doing it, that's why. And it just makes the case look silly. It makes it look silly. The whole thing looks silly. So the feds are taking the appropriate approach when it comes to charging. They're very sensible and practical. Murder, weapon, stalking, okay? We'll keep it real. But the question is, the state is doing the same thing. But then the state is doing a federal charge of terrorism. And what that says to me is that the state is trying to ensure that they cover all their bases so that the feds don't take their case over. And the Fed now is covering all their bases, murder, weapon, stalking, to ensure that they can actually take the case from the state. You guys, the Fed's charge is going to take precedent, okay? And I don't know how they raffle for who gets to go, okay? I don't know how that piece works. I've seen cases before. A lot of times I've investigated cases that I want the feds to get involved in, and all my cases that the feds took from me, they were all financial crimes, fraud crimes, like over $200,000, $300,000 up into the millions of fraud cases. So I had a drug case that the feds took over, but outside of that, they don't take over state cases like that. You got to check a lot of boxes, you guys. You got to check a lot of. I had a counterfeit case that the feds, they barely didn't want to take that. Okay, I had these guys printing money, but it was such on a small scale. They were doing it, but they just took it out of just because they were just taking it, right? But they normally, you need to hit a certain threshold money-wise for the feds to want to take your case. So that's why they don't go around just taking homicide cases like that. It has to be a bigger picture. It has to be somewhat organized. It has to be across state lines, right? Where they're hitting other jurisdictions like state-wise, okay? That's why they always hit these guys with sex trafficking. Essentially, it's prostitutional travel. That's basically all it is. It's prostitution that happens to travel outside to different states. It's really not that big of a deal, okay, when you're talking about 2 consenting adults, a prostitute adult and then an adult John, okay? So, you know, the issue with sex trafficking that gets a little crazy is when obviously it's forced or it's underage and they're minors, okay? So that's a whole different ballgame. But just letting you know, when the feds get involved, what these charges actually look like, what they actually mean, okay? And a lot of times the feds get involved when you're crossing over outside of the jurisdiction because they have jurisdiction throughout the nation, okay? The feds getting involved in this is unnecessary and it's extremely suspicious. You heard what they said, that this is a seasoned attorney. Karen is like, listen, I've never seen this before, and she's seen a lot. I've never seen this before, and I haven't seen nearly as much as what Karen has seen. Okay, she's up in New York, Manhattan, and she was in the DA's office. Okay, so again, this is extremely unheard of. And here's the next part. And I know I'm ranting, but hear me out. Let me just get it all out because this is crazy. You guys, I hope you haven't forgotten that Mayor Adams is still under investigation. And by who? By who? The FBI. So all this grandstanding, we're working together, they're not working together. And during this investigation with Luigi, there was a couple things that slipped out that people weren't talking about. And you know what slipped out? New York was not giving and handing information over to the FBI. The FBI was not communicating with New York. They try to act like they were, and they try to kind of write it off as there was some bureaucracy and some red tape that we had to kind of get through. But the two sides were not cooperating, which is why I believe the feds decided to go balls to the wall and then swing and snatch the case right up under the state's feet. Okay? This is why when you got these pictures of these guys running around here, okay, look at these photos. Okay, who do you see here? You see just a whole lot of unnecessary people. Okay, a lot of NPCs. Okay, a whole lot of NPCs around here. Look at this. Okay, first you got our main guy right here. He looked like he's a star of an upcoming movie. Okay, like really. And look at this guy back here. This looked like Commando cosplay. What in the like what? And who is this? This guy, I thought that was Snoop Dogg for a second. This brother, like, he fresh off Crenshaw Boulevard. And this guy, I mean, look at all these guys. What are they here for? Who is this? This guy looked like my cousin Vinny. He's chilling. He looked like he don't know what's going on. He's just told to show up. Everybody wants to be in the camera, you guys. Look, I didn't even see this guy. Where's Waldo? Look at him. He's like, if you breathe wrong, I'm going to put a bullet in your back like you did the CEO. Like, this guy looked like he got a chip on his shoulder. He's ready for action. Like, he gets a hard on for this type of stuff. This is what I'm talking about. Where's the mayor at? I got some more photos. This is him coming out, getting in the car. He's doing his double take, his photo ops. This guy, he's too cool for it. Look at Mayor Adams. Look at him. I mean, this is a clown show, you guys. This is a clown show. It's not necessary. And they'll argue, of course, he needs the detail. He needs a security detail because I'm pretty sure they've got a lot of threats. I'm pretty sure they're under the impression that someone would be stupid enough to try to rescue him, okay? And it has happened, okay? It's happened to one of my instructors. Someone tried to rescue a guy in transit. So listen, I know these things are possible. In a case this big, people are crazy, okay? It seemed like everybody wanted to be a part of the scene. Everybody wanted to just be like, I got 20 years later, I remember I was right there in that photo and I was escorting. I got a chance to hold his I got a chance to hold his prison bag. You know what I mean? Like, that was me right there. It's listen, you guys don't know New York like I know some New York officers. Shout out to my New York brothers and sisters out there in blue. Listen, I'm not hating on y'all, but some of y'all got an ego problem. All right, some of y'all's, for whatever reason, New York has this thing. They're investigators. They have this thing. I've met a couple of them. They have this thing where they feel like they own the criminal, right? Like, they have this, it's hard to explain, you guys, but they have this obsession of, and not all, let me just clarify, y'all gonna be dragging me in the comments. Not all, but I've seen some who have this obsession, especially the old school detectives, investigators. It's this obsession with, this is our criminal, right? This is our criminal. This is, we apprehended him, right? It's like this sense of ownership over, and I tell you all the time, listen, criminals are like prostitutes, right? She's not yours, it's just your turn, okay? It's just your turn, all right? She committed a crime over here, they committed a crime over there. It's shared, it's equal opportunity, okay? The criminals are for everybody, all right? He did this in your state, he did it in my state too. He doesn't belong to you. She don't belong to you, okay? So they have this thing where it's just like they think they own, and they brag about their criminals too. Oh, we had so-and-so criminal and blah, 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 blah. And, and it's like, it's like, calm down, dude. It's not that serious. All right. It's not that serious, but anyways. So, everybody, NYPD escorted, right? They escorted him. It was kind of like this this thing where they're kind of like, yeah, we got him, right? The chest is out. You guys didn't get. The McDonald's worker did. Okay, let's be clear on that. Y'all didn't have nothing. Okay, y'all didn't have nothing. and for whatever reason, if Luigi didn't hand off that ID, you guys, you wouldn't have nothing still because he wouldn't have committed any crime. You guys had nothing. Look at this. Look at that. Look at this photo. Jesus Christ. Look at this. This looked like something out of a. This seems like when you're halfway into the movie and they arrested the bad guy and they're walking, right? They have that scene where they're kind of walking and everybody has their little power strut, and they're kind of like everyone's kind of striding. Look at this. You got commando cosplay right here in the back. You can't make this up. And Mayor Adams, listen, this guy right here, it's like he knew the camera was on him. He knew and this brother, like, he's posing for Teen Magazine. Jesus Christ. Here he go with the gun in his back. He's ready for it to pop off. He's ready. He's so close, I'm pretty sure. Okay? I'm pretty sure he's on his cheek at this point. This guy is like, I don't want nobody to see my face. This brother looked like he's auditioning for Men in Black 5. Look at him. He look like he want to do this so bad. I'm sorry. What am I doing? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Let me get back. This brother right here look like he's auditioning for SWAT season 12. Why do we have all these NPCs? It's unnecessary. All he needed was a strong detail of about 7 guys, a SWAT team, escort him from to and from, and that's it. All these looky-loos. Who are these guys? Who is this guy? Who is this guy right here? Who is he? Why are you there? You're not even close enough to do anything. Why are you guys here? It's too much, man. It's too much. And why is there a camera guy allowed to even be this close? You can't even see. You see everybody but the camera guy's face. The camera guy is. This brother. This looks like the mayor's bodyguard, personal bodyguard, and he looks aggravated. He looked like he's just irritated. Anyways, man, what am I doing, y'all? I'm sorry. I'm about to run the time up clowning. Let me. I'm about to edit that out. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Okay, where were we? Mayor Adams is under investigation by the FBI. If you think that doesn't mean something, you're fooling yourself. That means a lot. He's under investigation. He has a major incident happen in his city, and he's obviously he's probably not cooperating the way the feds want him to cooperate, you guys, and they snatched his case right up under his feet. Right up under his feet. And nobody knew. Nobody knew. And there's a lot to that. There's a lot going on with that. I already know. I can feel it. I've seen this. I've seen how these politics play out, and it's about to be a clown show in New York. I'm talking Circus Soleil, okay? Next level clown show. He's in federal custody now. They sent him to federal prison. He's going to be in the special side with all the important people who are, quote unquote, protected. Guess who else is in federal prison in New York in the protected side? Your boy Diddy. Your boy Diddy. Okay? Check this out. I'm not saying I'm just saying. Okay? I'm not saying I'm just saying, but hear me out. You have Karen, who is now Luigi's attorney. Karen's husband is Diddy's attorney. They now have 2 clients in the same prison, federal prison, taking federal charges. Diddy is a liability to a lot of people with money. okay? He is a liability to a lot of people with money. Some would argue that Diddy can't be touched. No Diddy. Some would argue he can't be touched in federal prison under the security of a highly plush, relaxed, comfortable setting where they're going, where the celebrities go. I'm talking about where Martha Stewart went. Okay, they got cots and yachts in there, and escargot. They're chilling in there. One could argue that Diddy can't be touched. You would have to literally send an assassin in to take him out. The truth is stranger than fiction. You know, you guys, I would not be surprised if Diddy wound up catching a soul bond. A soul bond. For my new subscribers, a soul bond is that last bond you ever get in life. Maybe, I don't know. Everything just seems so strange with this case. And I'm telling you, a lot of you guys are like, the guy's cooked. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm telling you, there's too many suspicious moving pieces on the board that don't belong there.